Hello, everybody. Welcome to We'd Rather Be Reading. I'm Jerrica.
And I'm Leah.
It feels like it's been forever and ever since we've talked to you guys and to each other about books, but here we are.
But it hasn't actually been forever. It's just because we recorded 2 episodes in 1 week because I had an insane and crazy week last week, which was also fun, but insane and crazy nevertheless. But I haven't actually been reading a lot, but you've gotten nuts.
Yeah, I had a week off of not having to podcast, but of course we still had the pod book, but I read that this week. But yeah, so I had a free week. I'm like, what am I going to do? I'm going to get into this audiobook series. And then, what about this other series? This one looks pretty good. So I ended up finishing 2 full series. One of them was the Lightness Saga that I read. It's by Stacey Marie Brown, and loved it. Although the last book, the 4th part of the series, it's of course fantasy book, and it is about it's romance, but also a lot of battling. That's Game of Thronesy. There's a shit ton of different species of characters, and then there's a doctor who changes people around also a little bit. So there's a monkey guy.
Okay. So Frankenstein-y kind of thing. Okay.
And they're at a war, and they have to win the battle.
No. Sounds good.
They have to win a battle. But in the very last book, they threw in another set of characters. So it was a little bit who's this now? Who's that now? And I don't want to feel that in the last book.
No.
Lost.
A bit too much.
And then I listened to, but this is what I told you about, hilarious, that I got all of these reverse harem.
But we talked about reverse mermains. Now we're going to talk about reverse harems.
I wonder if my phone listened to that and was she likes reversed stuff.
Yeah. But in all honesty, I think with the reverse harem, which we should probably explain what it is.
I didn't even know what it was when I kept getting all these suggestions. I have to say,
I am more on board with the reverse harem than a regular harem. And I think it's because of my unwillingness to share stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
But then, so they share you.
Because I can spread my love.
You spread your love, but you're not going to share.
I'm not going to share someone.
But I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
I'm fully on board with that also. I also do not want to share, but I have a lot of love to give, so that's a thing.
I don't have a lot of love
to give,
so I'm... So I think it's more... I think I'm more of a no harem at all kind of person, But if I had to choose, gun to my head, the reverse one would be more of my where I would be. And I mean, there is also that anecdote from 9th grade in school, which we're not going to talk about now because it doesn't paint me in the best light. So I'm just going to stay away from that one.
But I didn't know what reverse harem was when Scribe kept suggesting all of these audiobooks for me. They're like, you like romance audiobooks that are a little bit of fantasy. How about this? How about this? And every time I read the description, it was reverse harem. And then I was like, what the heck is reverse harem? And then I looked it up and I'm like, but I'm so dumb.
So to spell it out for you guys who look like, who might not have understood a reverse harem at this point, it is a girl with many men.
Exactly. And so this book that I ended up choosing, I didn't know it was reverse harem because it doesn't say it in the description. And in the very first book, she has a relationship with just one guy. So I also didn't know that that's where this was going. But it's called the Gifted Academy series. Wicked Gods is the first one by Michelle Hercules. And I have to say, this is fantastic books. They're so good. The story is good. It's of course about gods, and they're teenagers, and then also there's college students and things like that. And some of them are really strong gods. They have levels 12, 17, and then there's demigods and stuff. Mm-hmm. And then there's one girl, and she's a normal person, a norm, and then she eventually gets changed and made, or her powers get ignited, and she becomes powerful.
I love this whole what are we calling normal people in books, because it's always different. Like you clearly said norms here. I'm reading Shadowhunter books still by Cassandra Clare, and they're mundanes.
Okay, cool.
And in like Harry Potter, obviously they're muggles. So there's always like this what are the normal, but what are we gonna call them? If we're all special, then they're gonna be something else. But I've been reading. I have barely been reading. But I did read the Shadowhunter. I was reading the Bane Chronicles. Because what I did, and I don't think I had time to talk to you guys about this, and vent my frustration the last time we talked about this, because I was reading The Chain of Iron by Cassandra Clare, only to realize that it's book 2 in a trilogy where the third one comes out in a year. And we're back to the freaking Holly Black situation where I'm sorry, Cassandra Clare, I now hate you.
Oh, no.
You are going to have to sit
strong
and
feeling.
just, write and then just put this book out, because I cannot wait a year. It doesn't work like that. And especially on that freaking cliffhanger at the end. I don't like it. It was awful and I now hate you. I'm sorry.
No, strong words from Leah this week.
But then I did go, and because I really love the Shadowhunters world, and it's been a while since I read like the City of Glass, City of Bones, so whatever, it's the City series. And then I read the Clockwork series, and now I was reading The Chain of Thorns, and I read the one where they're in Los Angeles as well, the one that's in the future. So, but I never read like the Bane Chronicles, so I went and read that, and it's just like short stories basically from his very, very long life of explaining how he got banned from Peru and all of these other stuff that they hint throughout the books of. And it was great. It was narrated by different people. One of them was exceptionally boring narrated. I think I played a little bit for you.
That was so slow. I couldn't even believe it. He was talking about a kissing scene or something like that. And it was like, and then
he also did a battle scene like this.
Forward.
It was like
a battle scene in slow motion.
He pulled his sword and leapt at his opponent. And he was like this slow the whole time. And I was like, I feel the urgency here.
My mouth was open, like jaw unlocked. I can't not believe that this guy is an audiobook narrator.
No, but he narrated it, but then I found, me and continuity.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I found continuity issues here. This was no good. No good. There's a short story in the Bane Chronicles where they meet James Herondale and Grace Blackthorne. That's like pretty big characters here in the Chain of Gold and the Chain of Iron books. But the interaction Magnus Bane has with them in the Bane Chronicle changes everything. Everything. It changes who they are as people. They changes their only thing that's the same is basically their names and who they live with. But their characters are completely different, and things that have been very well established in the Chain of Gold and Chain of Iron books about how Grace was not allowed to be trained, and how James is very loyal and very kind, and how, all of these things, and how Jesse Blackthorne died. These are just all changed in the Bane Chronicle short story. So someone forgot what they wrote or decided to disregard what they wrote. I hope it was a conscious choice at least, so it wasn't just like...
I'm sure it was conscious. It was like, I've already made all of these characters. Everyone knows them. Everyone wants to read about them. But I'm just going to make a little different story here.
Yeah, but the short story would be before the books. It would have been written first.
Okay, so maybe she developed the characters afterwards, wanting to change it.
Probably.
That makes more sense.
Yes, it does. But but my continuity flag was up the whole time, and I had a very hard time enjoying that particular short story because I was like, this is wrong. He should have met him there. He's a much bigger part of his books.
Oh no.
How come she's a blade? She's not even allowed to touch weapons. He did not die like this. This is untrue. So, no. I sat like that throughout.
So you were pacing back and forth in your house while you were listening.
Ranting to myself. It was a struggle. It was a bit of a struggle.
Like, Mom is broken. Something's happened. The robot
No, they're used to this.
Okay. Mom's malfunctioning over there.
Yeah, no, they're used to this. This they're used to me going like, this is outrageous, and then I'll just read them one sentence from whatever book I have, and I'm like, this is not what they said on this page, and they're like, okay, whatever, I have no idea what you're talking about. Stop harassing me with continuity stuff, Mom. It's more
true. The way that you love continuity, or the way that you love to hate continuity issues, I love triangles, and now I just realize why I freaking love this harem book, because She
it's a
is in love
on
with
steroids.
It is a freaking love triangle on steroids. She is in love with these 4 guys, and they're so mature about it. Nobody is jealous. No one's fighting. There's no orgy. There's no forced sex. There's no weird shit. It's just love with 4 different relationships. And you know what? I'm freaking on board with this. I am going to go straight into the next harem book as long as it's consensual.
I love consensual. And I think that's probably our episode name here, Love Triangle on Steroids.
Amazing.
I'm writing it down so I won't forget. So if I sound a bit off here, it's because
but now I get it. That is why I love it. This girl, she's Daisy, and she loves all of the boys, and they love her, and she calls them the loves of her lives. And I melt inside. And he's like, "You're the love of my life," and she's like, "You're all the loves of my life." And they're like content with this,
and they're happy with this. Oh my god, they're so good at sharing.
It's amazing.
Seriously, they were trained well as toddlers to share their toys.
You should. I mean, this is a really good book.
Clearly, I was a lonely child when I was little, so I never had to learn to share. This is probably the reason. Well, I found out, speaking of slow narrators, that one of my coworkers listens to all of his audiobooks on double speed, which...
That is the opposite.
Which is... I could not do that. Everyone's just sounding like chipmunks. You guys know that you can put us on double speed if you think we're speaking too slowly, and then you can get funny
It would be extra
Leah
speed.
and Jerrica. And I've been told I speak fast, so imagine me on double speed. It's going to be... super speed.
Do you know what I feel like? Moms speak fast because sometimes they have like less time to get all of the words in that they need to, like to tell their kid they have to do something or tell a husband they have to do something before they have to like go and do this next thing or whatever. So I think that we learn how to talk faster when we become mothers, and then we don't socialize so much because we're like in the circle of family. So then when we meet somebody and get to vent, then it goes like quadruple speed, like, oh my god, I can't even believe that he did this to me.
Oh
and
my God,
I
yes.
am...
But I have been a fast talker all my life. And my mother is also a fast talker. And people have been complaining to my mom for years and years that she speaks so fast and like to slow down. And then she had me and I speak even faster than her.
Whoa.
So it's like, I think it's a genetic thing. Or I learned to speak from my mom and just figured out that was the pace to keep, you know. But at least I get all my stuff out quickly.
That's true. It's efficient.
Yeah. Then I've also realized here that I have to apologize for my summary of books. I'm terrible at organizing and telling you why books are good. So it apparently doesn't matter how fast I speak because the words that I choose are no good for this purpose.
So, great thing we have a podcast about summarizing books.
I'm just going to leave it to you going forward. I'm not good at this. But I'm going to give it a crack here with the book that we did read.
Yes.
The book we finished, which was The Girl the Sea Gave Back by Adrienne Young. Mm-hmm. And we chose these books, obviously you should know this already, because we loved Fable and Namesake.
So amazing. Fable and Namesake is so good.
And I enjoyed Sky in the Deep. It wasn't as good as Fable and Namesake, but I liked Sky in the Deep. It was a decent story. Mm-hmm. I understood where the love came from. And then we moved to The Girl the Sea Gave Back. And my first comment...
Wow, I have a lot of notes also.
I'm sorry, Adrienne, but this book was a bit boring.
It was long without a ton of...
And I think this book, stuff. What I was hoping it would be more of the growing love between... Because we predicted that Tova and Halvard would become... Like, that would be the romance of this book. And clearly getting them together was a target of this book, like it was the purpose. Right. But this book was so much more about Halvard growing into his role of a leader and understanding your roots and where you come from and what makes you, I guess, part of a family or a clan or whatever. And
clan development.
Basically wrote...
And Tova has to be in hiding for a long time because of her power.
And when they make Halvard a leader and they all drink his blood, like, yuck. That was in chapter 23. And I was so yucked out. And there was no romance at this point. So I was like, ugh. All right. Powered through.
Near the end, Tova actually says this line, which I said in my notes, but this sums up exactly who she was as a character. Mm-hmm. And she says, I've been dead for most of my life.
Yeah.
And she's alive, but she is dead because she has to be hidden and she has to hide her powers and herself, and she can't speak or know people or relationship. Yeah.
So it's also a book about opposites in a way, because Tova her opinions are important because she can read the runes, but she is only brought out in extreme circumstances and they don't want to know what she's going to say because most of the time it's not good. And Halvard is being listened to and praised, even though he's young and he's being groomed to be a leader. It's very much like differences in how they act towards these two young people.
A big thing also was that the two books, they're not so super connected to each other, considering they're a duology.
Yeah.
Like the second book still has the main characters from the previous book there, but it's fast forward to the future, but they're very little or seldom in the book.
There's hardly any of them in the book. It's more the dad and the best friend.
So when I was reading, I was thinking, but this could have been they could have been two standalones. They didn't necessarily...
I would say that they are two standalones in the same universe.
Exactly.
Yeah. I would say that these two books, you do not have to have read The Sky and the Deep to read The Goddess He Gave Back, because it explains everything what happened in Sky and the Deep, more or less, in the first one. And it has impact on the story as far as the clans fighting with each other, but it doesn't have impact on the story as far as the romance or the character building, because they're not fighting with the same people. They're introducing a whole new group of people, two new groups of people, actually. So it's like there's one that where two clans became one, that's one side, and then they're going to fight against a brand new group of people, and then there's the wild card, which is Tova's clan. But what I would say is that the book, though there's urgency in what they need to do because time is moving and they're going to be attacked in this book, but it's still really slow paced, the book, and there's no sense of urgency I found in the writing. Like we're being told that we need to be fast, but it's not being shown in a way.
Right.
And the romance, when it does happen, it's I mean in the book one, in the first one, I was rooting for the fish boy and
there was a build up. I mean, they were
back and forth between them, and in this one, when they kiss, I'm like, what, wait, why? But you guys have just met.
No, stop it! I say the same thing. Wait, what? Yeah. They spend no time. They spend together or talk at all.
And I'm like, so what I wrote was like, the romance is not properly built in this one. It doesn't make sense that they want to be together unless they're, have like an instant attraction of hormonal teenagers going like, cross the room, so cute, I want to be with him.
I think in this case, it's like a God thing, like because of this is like some sort of fate meant to be like, oh, we've been put into each other's lives and this is what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to kiss now.
And I think that's what she's saying, but I think we've read enough books of people being mated, of the soulmate, of the bond, to know that this can be better done.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't make sense in a way, because either they're just hormonal teens or fates are telling them, but they spend so much time in this book telling us how responsible and grown up these very young people are. They're carrying, like Halvard is carrying his whole clan on his shoulder. He's going to be their leader, and he's like barely 20, if he's even that.
No, I wrote that he's super young to be the leader, but I said that what they reference is like the fatherhood of the community. Yeah. And I'm like, but he's not a father, and he's like also very, very young.
But he was groomed to take over, and then the actual leader dies, so he has to step into the role. I guess it's like the young king, where the old king dies. So, I mean, it makes sense that he becomes the leader, but we've been told so much that he's so responsible, and he's so grown up and mature in his ways. And Tova as well, like the way she acts and reacts and deals with situations shows like maturity in a way that would then go against the whole frick, he's hot, I'm gonna make up with him and go back with my long lost family who's finally found me, I'm gonna stay here with him, It's very
there could have been a little more attraction, like inner conversation about it, even if it wasn't outward.
Yeah, and then it comes into my whole pet peeve that I have with soulmates and mates, that it's not an actual choice. They don't choose to be together. It's literally the toss of the stones that says we're gonna be together. So it's like, oh, good, I don't need to choose here, I'm just gonna do this.
Well, back in the day, it was like the parents chose for you. So stones or parents, I mean, whatever.
Yeah, for sure. But there was an actual choice with Fisk and Elin, though, in the first book.
That's true.
And even with her brother, Irie and Hisco.
Yeah.
Runa, there was a choice with them as well. Look, I remember the name.
That was a good one. That was really good.
I was impressed by myself there. And the Swell, the people that had taken Tova, they were a bit too villainous for me as well. Like, they were... I know she was trying to create there were some people that wouldn't do this, and then they were betrayed, but then they would follow the guy that basically betrayed the leader and all of this and that. But there was so much villainous behavior, like the backstabbing and the moving without talking amongst themselves, asking the runes and then going against it. And like, it was basically, I would have liked to see more human. I would have liked to care a bit more about them. I think where it would have been an actual struggle kind of thing with her, because even the guy that took care of Tova, he basically cared for her and raised her, and he was the only one who was kind to her, kind of, in the Swells. But even him, we kind of don't like him throughout the book because he's not. He's not. Yeah.
Talking about her parentage, I wrote here. Okay, she gets to see her parents again. This is at the end of the book. And they seem pretty content about her drowning and them sending her off into the sea, and seeing her now. They're all like, yes, the gods told us this is the right thing. And look at you now. Wow, we're good parents. We did the right thing.
Yeah.
Excuse me? I have lived my entire life as a fucking dead girl. Because of the stones and the gods told you something. I was like, wow, those parents are way too happy about their decision about abandoning their child.
But I think it was too much of it's what you were saying, it's too much of the fates of relying on the God's will. And I mean, it was in a little bit in both of these books. I think with Fable and Namesake, when Fable, spoiler, gets together with Wes, we want it, we like it. Definitely. He's been going there because of her, and it's shown in a way. But here, even in the Sky in the Deep book, when Fisk and Elin kiss at that random stage, it's just like, whoa, okay. Like, there was a bit more bickering, and you could more see it coming, but it was still a little bit out of the blue. And this one is an even more awkward meeting between Halvard and Tova when they actually meet, and then they're kissing, and I'm like, how did we get? But
these books are before Fable and Namesake, so maybe that's a testament to the fact that the author Adrienne Young has developed better sense of relationship throughout her books and connection to the characters, because it was amazing in Fable and Namesake.
Oh, I love Fable and Namesake, and I think there's been some stuff in this. I think these books, there's some things that I would have done differently. I would have either dropped the romance between Tova and Halvard and just worked on the fight between the Swell and the, I can't remember the name now, the clans that Halvard is the leader of. I have it up here, I think, somewhere. Nadir. Nadir. And I would have maybe focused more on that, and then added in a third book where Tova had thrown the runes, chosen to stay, and the Kira people would maybe been more of a part of it, and then they could have been like a budding romance and building that would bridge this gap, rather than this, they're apart for 98% of the book, 2% they're together, and now this is where we're left off. Like this, I would have liked to see a bit more build up in this romance. I think that's what I was missing from it. But I think apart from that, it's very interesting, the whole book between the clans, like the politics of it, and the gods concept. And our gods versus your god, and they talk about these people that came in the first book and killed everyone, whatever their names are, and that they're maybe not actually real people. They just get sent in because the gods feel the people weren't listening to them, so they send these raiders in and they kill so many, so they have to band together. Right. And I like that idea that it's like, if the gods are actually talking to them, that they would send like this random group of people that would just marauder their way through the clans just to,
But the romantic interest wasn't really there in this book. And I wrote a couple things. One saying, is it bad that I liked Halvard better than I liked Tova? And that I sped read her parts sometimes?
But her parts were a bit boring.
Boring,
she was
yeah.
mostly just sitting in the
And then I
woods
look
and,
forward to his. And then also I wrote, when she does finally then go into his clan and stuff, she's like, let me throw the stones. This is my power. Let me use it to help you guys for the upcoming war. And he's like, no. I'm all right. I would rather go into war thinking that I could win than having the stones read knowing that I'm going to die. Because I think bunch of us will die. So let's not put a damper on that. So keep your power to yourself. And then over and over, she's like, but just let me use it. And he doesn't want to. And it minimizes her worth.
Yeah.
Throughout the whole book. So I'm like, well...
But
he doesn't need her
in a way,
really at all.
I see what you're saying, but in a way, I don't think it minimizes it because I think it makes it her worth more than just her ability to read the runes, kind of thing. That but
he's like, you could go now. He says
I know.
It's
awkward. It's a bit awkward. But then he trusts her. He's like,
yeah.
I don't know. It's a bit. It's not the cleanest way to romance this particular book. But yeah.
But overall, she's such an amazing writer, and both series, I'm glad that we read them. And if you haven't picked up Fable and Namesake yet, immediately do that. Stop all other things.
Yes, absolutely. You should. Fable and Namesake, you have to read them. Then moving on. Yeah, moving on. I'm so excited about moving on this week because, as you know, I have been reading, and Leah has been trying to get me into these L. Kennedy campus books. Yeah, these new adult romantic,
new adult romance,
romantic stories. Yeah,
and I was in book jail because I had been reading and listening to those two series. So the only other one that was available for me that was similar to it. Was written by another author, and it was called The King of Campus. Mm-hmm. And I devoured this book. It is an audiobook. I wrote to the author, and I said to her, the author's Jennifer Sucevic, by the way. I wrote to her on Twitter, freaking love this book. Mm-hmm. The narrator was amazing, everything about the book, the romance, all of the good decisions that they made as 20-year-old people make good decisions.
But there's a whole genre of these books, and my favorite ones have been by L. Kennedy and Serena Bowen. Yeah, which I read pretty much all of them, and I've been talking to you about them for a while. And then you just jump on a different author.
I know.
Which, whatever. You got to the genre at least, but.
I have been standing back because I don't love teeny romances.
But these are not teeny.
But they're not teeny. You're right, You're right. But also super American college-y kind of stuff. I also don't connect to so much. But this one was phenomenal.
But so what did he play? What sports?
In The King of Campus, he was a hockey player.
I love the hockey players. And we're going to talk about...
a dancer, ballet and stuff. And she got... So she was, within her own, focused on her own athletic sport. And he's focused on his athletic sport. So there was, common ground there. Mm-hmm. And she wasn't just some, puck bunny type thing.
Yes. Puck bunnies are very common in the L. Kennedy one, but they're never the ones that actually end up with the hockey players.
Oh, cool.
But there's the L. Kennedy, the deal, it's all about the same hockey team. So it's different people from the same team.
Wait a second, maybe that's the book that I read.
Yeah.
Was she the dancer and he was the hockey player?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's the one. Yeah, I think King of Campus, because this one, the Campus Player, which is the book that we are doing now, he's American football.
You're right. He's American. He's football. That's right. And King of Campus is football.
Because I love the L.
But she was a dancer.
I love the L. Kennedy books because it's about hockey. And I'm not a big sports person here. I'm just gonna say that out loud. I don't really care about any of the team sports. Mm. And I lived in Canada, and my man is a big Montreal Canadiens fan. So, I have seen a few games. I do understand the offside rule, but that's mostly because the company I work for right now, we have a traditional hockey game every January where we play against each other, and we have a few hockey players working for the company. And it was my first time ever playing hockey, being a part of this hockey challenge, and it turns out that I'm terrible at hockey. But it's kind of nice with all the padding. But then they still managed to get a puck in my solar plexus because it was right underneath my padding, and then I had to sit down. And I also have a gorgeous picture that I can put up on our Instagram feed of me sitting with my legs cross-legged in my hockey gear, which is the only freaking way to sit in hockey gear.
Cute. But no, you're right. King Campus was about NFL and at Barnett University. And there's a continuation, a series of these Barnett University romances. But King of Campus was the one that I read, and the main character's name is Roan. And in this new book that we're reading, his name is Rowan.
Yes.
So I was like, oh.
So we got this Campus Player book from, she sent it to us, which was amazing.
Right, I wrote that I loved it, and she wrote back, and I said, what's your favorite book that you've written? Because she has written many, many books. And she said, how about you try this Campus Player book?
Yes.
So she sent it to us, and I was like, hey, we read it immediately.
Yeah, so I started reading, and we read the first 3 chapters, which are all, I'm thinking we're going to get a double perspective going on in this book, but so far all of the chapters have been from our main girl's perspective, and her name is Demi. And she's a soccer player, or a football player like we say here in Europe, and daughter of the college head coach for the American football team. And here I put a nice insert soccer/football rant, so I shall do that now.
Okay, go for it.
I don't understand American football. I'm just going to put that outside. I'm putting it out there. I don't understand it. Why do you call it football when all you freaking do is run with a ball in your hands? It should be called handball. I will fight for this.
Yeah, but there is handball here in Europe.
Yeah.
That would just be extra confusing.
I don't care. There's football here in Europe where you actually cannot touch the freaking ball with your hands because then you're out, which is actual football.
I understand.
You guys call it soccer. Don't know why.
Don't know. I also don't know.
Stupid name. And also, I don't understand American football rules. I don't know what the quarterback does. I don't know why he's important. I know Tom Brady is one, and he runs a lot. But I don't get it. I have no idea.
Okay, I'm from Canada, and I love American football. And we don't have a team in Canada, but we do have soccer teams. And I would say I'm very happy that they're called football and soccer, so that they're not called football and football, because that's.
They're going to be called football and soccer, of course, to keep them apart here. But I still need to have my little rant about the fact that American football should not be called football, and they only hold.
But you got to get over it, because it has been called football for 100 years.
It's been stupid for 100 years. I will die on this hill.
You will have millions of people hate messaging.
I don't care. Bring it. I will die on this hill. It is happening. Regardless, so the main girl is Demi. She plays on the ladies' soccer team, or European football team, and she's good at it. But her daddy-o, he's the head coach for the American football team. And Demi here is dating Justin. She doesn't really care about Justin.
Yep.
Justin's a bit self-absorbed. They have no spark. But still, she's decided to invite Justin over to see her dad.
Right.
On their weekly dinners, which she attends with her dad and her dad's protege that he is taken under his wing for the past 7 years or so, who is the quarterback. And I put in brackets here, let's pretend I know what they do on the field, which I don't. I have no idea. They run.
No.
I think they don't run.
I mean, they do.
I don't know. They're a quarterback of the field. I don't know.
There's only one player in all of the team that is a quarterback, so it's a really important role.
Okay, good. For him.
Now you know.
I don't care.
Why he's important.
He is apparently very talented at this quarterbacking, and he...
Oh my god. We're gonna... I promise next week that I will not let Leah...
It will be over by next week.
Naive about football.
I hope that they're going to explain some rules to me here in this book. Anyways, he will most likely be drafted into the NHL, but then I realized that's a hockey league, so it's the NFL.
Oh no.
NFL.
Wow.
Yeah. His name is Rowan. And here, Demi has sparks in abundance for Rowan.
Right.
But for unknown reasons so far, she doesn't like him.
Because he's a player.
He seems
sleeps
like her though.
and-
But for 7 years. Come on, he can't have been a player for all that time.
But she says she avoids him. She doesn't really know him. He doesn't really know her. And I feel like that would be hard for them.
It feels like he doesn't avoid her though. He feels like she really avoids him.
Yeah, he like tries to sit next to her at school and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And she's like, I'm going to put my face in the book.
Yes.
But I mean, because they've known each other or they know of each other, obviously this romance is going to be slowly burning the way it's been before, and then it's going to be hot as hell.
Well, that's not my prediction. I guess that's your prediction.
Wait, but I want to say, finally a blonde guy. Like, thank
I was
you
like, no,
so much,
fucking
Jennifer
long
Sucevic.
hair.
But in the last one, he had freaking inky black hair. Like she said, inky. Literally said
we
inky.
should read that one.
So this is King of Campus. Rowan,
Right.
he had inky
If
hair.
I like this one,
and
I
he
will
was
read the King
super
of
hot.
Campus.
But she's an amazing character.
And maybe I'll learn something about American
think you
football
will
by
like
reading these books.
I mean, there's not really too much talk about football. You learn more about dance in King of Campus because she is in ballet and it's a lot of her perspective. But in this one, I think maybe we will learn a little bit more because her dad is also the coach.
Yeah. So what do you predict in this book? You predict the slow burn romance, I'm guessing.
I predict a slow burn romance. I said these romance novels rarely have twists, so I'm not going to also...
I disagree with this because the L. Kennedy books, most of them have twists.
Really?
And because I went by the L. Kennedy concept of how to write new adult romance. Serena Bowen and L. Kennedy, which is they're going to get together fairly fast. It's going to be super hot, and then something will complicate their relationship and keep them apart for X amount of time until they can finally get over themselves or sort through whatever it was that separated them and get back together and live happily ever after. Mm-hmm. So this is what I would predict. I literally wrote something will put sticks in their wheels.
Okay.
And they will overcome and conquer.
Okay.
And he will be a famous quarterback, and she will be a less famous soccer player because the world hates female athletes. That's what I wrote.
Oh, dark. No, I wrote slow burn romance. I wrote that Demi will finally give in to Rowan when she sees a less playery side of him. So, like, something's going to happen where she finds out that, oh, you're not a douche. Mm-hmm. And then there will be a connection that grows, hoping they make equally good decisions than the last book, because I loved it, King of Campus by the same author, and we get a stable, happy ending.
Better be. And no cliffhangers.
No, but it's standalone books, and I love that they develop one relationship throughout a standalone book, and it ties up so nicely at the end. Like I said, I've enjoyed her last book so much, so I really look forward to finish reading this. And I would rather be reading right now than talking about how much I want to read. So,
but
bye.
I do want to just put a little bit of a promo out there because we have been watching Shadow and Bone, and we have thoughts. Lots of thoughts. So we figured we would actually put these together into a little bonus rant of we'd rather be reading than watching Shadow and Bone.
Yes.
So we will put that together for you probably during next week and post that when it's ready.
I can't wait to talk about that show. It's so good.
I can't wait. Now we need to let the cat in because she is scratching the door.
All right, Cake, we're here for you.
We're here for you, Cake.
Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
We'd Rather Be Reading is an original podcast by Jerrica and Leah Sanford. The music for The Penguins, written and performed by David Allred from the album The Transition, courtesy of Erased Tapes. Please check him out on Spotify and check us out on social media. We're on Facebook and Instagram at We'd Rather Be Reading and on Twitter at We'd Rather Read. You can also email us at we'dratherbereadingthepod@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.